Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava-vedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanantam Satiguru Pranatoshnaham Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Welcome. So page 77. In the first chapter, Gaudapada wrote some notes. Yeah? He wrote some Karikas, 29. It was a structure with this text, which is a combination of Mandukya plus the Karikas of Gaudapada, was a structure all through this text, which is a combination of both, in a way that we have seen some mantras and some Karikas. From now on, we're going to see only Karikas, as we know. So the significance of the most important mantra, the seventh mantra, is Brahma, Satyam, Jagan, Mithya. So how do we arrive on this conclusion? We say that Mithya is that which needs to be proved and validated by the observer. Okay, so Mithya is that available for appearance and experience, but it depends on the seer, the experiencer, the knower. So its consciousness needs to be present so that the world is experienced. So anything that is known and experienced is Mithya. So that is the fundamental logic presented in this Upanishad. And as we know, we cannot say that the world is non-existent because we have the experience of the world again and again, again and again. And it's not a question of because it is experience, and then reality is duality. So there is Satya and Mithya, there is Brahman and the world, no consciousness and the world, no. So there is no duality because the appearance of the world and the beginning of the fundamental duality, knower and known, all of that happens within Mithya. And either the body-mind complex and whatsoever known by the body-mind complex is just a projection, superimposition on Satya, which is Brahman, which is consciousness, the only reality. Therefore, there is no question of Advaitam. The reality, the nature of reality is Advaitam, because what appears to be the universe, the cosmos, is just a projection or a mirage. So therefore, we say Vedanta brings the concept that the world, the universe, is neither existent nor non-existent. The world is not non-existent because we experience it. The world is not really existent because it's just a mirage. And there are many mirages, any seeming appearance, in our day-to-day experience, that they are not real. So they exist, but they don't exist. If it exists as available to experience, it's as good as non-existent. So although here and there, all these namarupas may have some utilitarian value, but none of these utilities are going to complete that which is our true nature. So we need to understand that why the world is almost as good as non-existent, because it does not deliver what it appears to promise, which is happiness. So this category, which is not really existing, or non-existing, existence or non-existence, is called mithya, brilliantly defined as mithya by the Upanishads. So the teachings Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. So there are two important words that we have seen on those mantras, yeah, that brought us to this understanding. One is Advaitam, Brahman, reality is Advaitam, and Prapanchopasamam, yeah, which is Brahma Satya and Advaita, means Brahma Satya and Jaga Mithya. Yeah? So this is the status of the world. And then we go back to the examples of the dream. We experience the dream. We do it very clearly. We take it to be real. And from the standpoint of the dreamer, the dream seems to be real. But upon awakening, the awaker sees the dream as just a projection which was made out of its own mind. So as if the dream universe has happening in one's mind. Now, so the dream world is not separate from the mind. No? It's just like, oh no, it was just a disturbance, a thought in my mind that projects all those pictures. It's very amazing. The dream world is something really amazing. Huh? The way Nidra Shakti brings about this is quite something. So and then we see that in the first chapter, yeah, we see the mantras, which brings us to the understanding that I am Satya, and the word is Mithya, and Mithya is that which enjoys a kind of dependable existence, which is given by me Satya as consciousness. Huh? So this is Mithya because anything that is known is not real, because it enjoys a certain apparent degree of reality, which is given, landed by consciousness. Huh? So exactly like the dream state. So it is my mind that is going to land apparent existence to the dream world. So on the second chapter that we are just beginning, yeah, Gaudapada established that Mithya, what is Mithya, and why the word is called Mithya. Yeah? So the third chapter is called Advaita Prakaranam, which established Satyam. So we are going to, through the second chapter, deal with the nature of Mithya. In the third chapter, we're going to deal with the nature of Satyam, which is very beautiful. In the last chapter, which is very beautiful as well, we're gonna deal with all kinds of objections to these teachings, which is very, very nice. I haven't studied it completely, but the people who translated that for me in Brazil, in Portuguese, they say that it's really wonderful, it's really beautiful. And I began reading a little bit of it. So the fourth chapter defends the teachings, answering questions and objections raised by other systems, other philosophies. We say that the world is seemingly existence and factually non-existent. In reality, there are no ornaments of gold, because fundamentally there is only gold. Yeah? The statement seemingly existence is virata vada, and factually non-existent is ajati vada. So just technical terms pointing to the same thing. So this world is seemingly existent, but in reality, essentially, factually, it's non-existent, because they are just namarupas. They are just names, colors, forms, and utilities. Okay, so when we repeatedly study these Upanishads, we may develop a misconception. The misconception is so because Mandukya Karika is very profound, and our minds has a hard time to understand it. But we should be aware of potential misconceptions. We say that the world, the universe, only seemingly existing and not factually existing, and we make the parallel with the dream world. This may give rise to a misconception that Vedanta does not give importance or value for the universe, for the world as we interact with. Worldly life is not to be taken with much respect or importance because it's just like the dream, So we have to be careful. A lot of people tend to do that on different spiritual circles. Everybody looks to find a shortcut, and the best shortcut is to say that Mithya is like a dream, therefore we don't need to understand Mithya, meaning to say Shwara Jiva Jagat. We just need to understand I am consciousness, everything's consciousness, and I'm already free. And because everything is just a dream. So usually this knowledge, this direct path, never really benefit anybody unless someone is spontaneously very highly qualified to be benefit by those pointers, such as the pointers presented by Nisargadatta Maharaj during his days. Vedanta never looked down to the world and the world life. Vedanta presents our higher nature and our inferior nature, and it reveals the status of the world from the standpoint of my higher nature. From the standpoint of consciousness, the world is just an appearance. From the standpoint of my inferior nature, the world is kind of real because I experience it and I need to somehow conform my inferior nature to the principles and laws governing this apparent reality so that I can develop a qualified mind to understand what the Upanishad is saying, that I am the only reality in the world is just an appearance. And so we need to, understand that the world, as I often put, it is in Mithya, and only in Mithya that we can find our nature in Satya. You understand? Therefore, we better take care of our instrument of knowledge in Mithya, as a Mithya instrument of knowledge, because it's in Mithya that we can, discount the Namarupas and extract the substratum of Mithya, which is Satyam. The substratum is Satyam. And it can only be recognized in Mithya, because only in Mithya we have a knower, and the knower is consciousness and needs to understand that consciousness, which is one's very nature, is the only reality. From the standpoint of Satya, the world can never disturb me, because my Turiya nature, my Brahman nature, is one without a second. Without a second, there is no question of disagreements and disturbance. Mithya can never disturb me. But from the standpoint of the body-mind, the world can disturb, okay? So when I appear as the ahamkara, I enter into the world and the waking state. Vedanta repeatedly teaches that from the standpoint of ahamkara, the disguise and the world are real. So the ahamkara, which is the body-mind complex, without self-knowledge, he takes the world and himself very seriously, and therefore there is the expression, don't take things so serious, don't take yourself so seriously. So because it looks like real. Therefore, during transaction, the word importance should be recognized until you understand that the purpose of observing Dharma and the laws and the principles of Mithya is important, so that I can recognize, that it's not really real. But until I recognize directly that it's not really real, because I am the only reality, we should transact with the best of our ability, take in consideration the creator and the rules by which the creator structure this media field of interaction. Once I know the importance of the world from this vicious standpoint, Dharma Shastra becomes relevant. Let's now dismiss the world and its relevance in the name of Vedanta. So that's exactly what people in the direct path likes to do, dismiss all the teachings regarding God and Dharma and karma, because they just want to jump the gun. They want to just find a direct way into enlightenment, which almost invariably does not work. Therefore, Vedanta repeatedly warns all of us, we should follow Dharma, we should understand our relationship with Ishvara, and live in society, in harmony with society, so that we have a good, pacified and contemplative sattvic mind. And with that kind of pure instrument and refined instrument, we're going to be able to understand Brahman Satya Jagata Mithya. So if Dhamma Shastras are important, and then what is the purpose of knowing I am Satya and I'm free from Jagata? Jagata is Mithya. So if the Dhamma Shastras is very important, so the purpose of Vedanta teaching must be very clear. When we are living our regular life, especially when problems come repeatedly, is this knowledge, Brahma Satya, Jagat Mithya, and I am Satya, that is going to attenuate or neutralize the disturbance, the problems that we confront with crises and adversities in Mithya. So when the problems and adversity are coming, we need this knowledge in respect of our true nature as the only reality, which is not affected by my transactions as a Jiva Atma, in my inferior nature. This knowledge is what's going to neutralize or largely minimize those shocks, those problems. The purpose of life is what? Is to live happily, and that is only possible with self-knowledge. So in the Gita, Lord Krishna says, all powerful and compassionate, why should there be suffering in this world? So the purpose of the human life is to suffer until one understands the spirit of the universe as my own spirit, non-dual consciousness. And then once I know that, and then we live more content, more happily, and more peacefully. Okay, so why should there be suffering in the world? So some people are too busy and they never get these questions in the mind. But some Vedantins, some mature souls start asking that, why so much suffering? How can I remove this suffering from the human experience? So those are the people that come to Vedanta. These questions will be there in their mind. And normal life, mundane life, will become almost impossible, and it's true. So you start like finding no meaning in this samsaric lifestyle. Vivekananda and Buddha are good examples that even with having everything working for Buddha walked away because of what? Although he was young and very strong, he realized that old age, disease, and death was going to come to him as well. And then he said, no, this is too bad. My father is hiding something to me from me, and I got it. And now I want to know what is the real purpose of life and how to live life happily in spite of the mortality which is inherent to the physical body. Yeah? I need to be a yogi. He understood. In the fourth chapter, Gaudapada shows how no other teachings or philosophies will satisfy the spiritual soul, the spiritual urge. Vedanta talks about mithyatvam, the nature of mithya, the mithyatvam of the world, but it does not say that the world and family and life itself as an agent transacting the world have no importance at all. All these are important at the transactional level. So all these are important so as we transact, but as spiritual seekers, our purpose is not transact in a way that we are successful in the world, but we transact in a certain way that we develop certain qualities, and then we can discover the true nature of reality. So on the transactional level, on mature souls, that it cannot be neglected, because it is the purpose of the field is to produce mental, emotional purification and refinement, and we do that as good karma yogis to begin with. So it's very important, the opportunity of transacting the world to develop the qualities. Therefore, family life, society, duties, and values, they are just opportunities for a good karma yogi to process one's karma, one's vasana load in a way that it refines the body-mind complex, and then one can see, I can get in contact with the Upanishads and be free from the suffering element inherent to all samsaris. The teaching, this teaching, Vedanta teaching should be seen in the right perspective. What is this perspective? So the teachings of the Upanishads, the teachings of non-duality, the teachings, the binary model, I am such, the word is mithya, is the perspective that we want to develop, okay? But usually it starts with the triangle perspective. I am Jivatma, and then I know there is a creator, we call Yeshwara, and there is Jagat, the world. The world is structured, by the supreme intelligence, and then I need to live in harmony here so that my mind purifies and refines, so that I can come to the binary vision of Vedanta and say, I am such, and the world is mithya. So we enter now, after this short introduction, into the verse number 1. The wise people declare the unreality of all objects in dream, because the objects appear to be located within the head, the body, the mind, and because of the limitation of space in one's own body-mind. So this is a common misunderstanding, and Swami Swamiji is not going to address it in here. But we have the impression that the mind is somewhere in my head, because we heard that there is a brain located in the head. And say, so my mind exists within my head, and my head is small. So how can the entire dream world with mountains and tigers and oceans be contained in my head? But this fundamental misunderstanding is because we think that the mind is a byproduct of the brain, but the reality is that the brain is a byproduct of the mind. The entire body-mind in its physical and subtle physical manifestation, is a byproduct of the subtle body. So, but let's say the unreality of all objects is because it is a projection of my mind. It happens in my mind, and I have the misconception that my mind sits in the head. My head is small, and then it's so limited, and then this dream world cannot be real. It's absurd that everything is contained in my head. If we correct that fundamental misunderstanding, we'll say, okay, so this dream world is happening in my mind. And the head and the physical body, the entire, is happening in my mind as well. My mind produced it somehow. Okay, from the subtle we have the physical. From the causal we get the subtle, and from the subtle we get the physical. So if we correct that perspective, we say, okay, no, this world is a projection of my mind, not of my head. So what is the limitation of my mind? How limited my mind is? I mean, when we think in terms of mind, usually, if people do not take the mind to be the brain, they take the brain to be thoughts, okay? And then a combination of many thoughts, I mean, even if a combination of these many thoughts could project a dream state in which there is a dream universe, one still feels like this dream universe is not real. Why? Because I know my mind. I don't have the power to create anything, okay? I'm just, I mean, barely making it through life, trying to make a living, understand? Just imagine the power to create a universe. So it is a projection of my mind, of my thoughts, and cannot be real, okay? Cannot be real because my mind is not really capable of creating a universe, okay? So one knows that the human mind is very limited. Once we correct the perspective, the brain is not the mind. From the mind projects, the mind are the vasanas, and the mind is not smart enough to create anything. Who is creating? It's Maya, Maya Shakti. In this case, we call it Nidra Shakti. Small, slight difference, but it's the same. We don't do it. We don't know how to dream. Otherwise, we say, oh, tonight I want to have those beautiful dreams that I had yesterday, and I'm going to dream. No, we don't know how to dream. So it's all Maya Shwara doing everything for us. Gaudapada shows that the world obtaining in the awakened state is mithya. It appears real only from the waking state, and it is relevant and validate and valid. Its relevance and validity are only in the awakened state. Its reality is only conditional reality. So only when we awake as a Vishwa, we realize that the world was just a projection of my mind, or it was something that my brain has created. We see my head. So we understand that. But one must be in the awakened state, because while we are dreaming, we take the dream world to be real. That's the most important point. So the conclusion is that you must be in dream to take the dream seriously and believe it to be here. So what is the reality of this dream world? This dream world enjoys a conditional reality. What it means by conditional reality? You need to be on a certain state so that you can find reality in that world. No? So it has a conditional reality, which is mithya, something that appears now and disappears later on. And as the awaker, we say, no, that was a hallucination, a mental disturbance. So it's easy to discard the dream world as mithya. So the dream to be mithya, Gaudapada shows easily that the waking state also has all features of the dream world. The dream world is mithya, the awake world has all features of the dream world. So to show that the awake world is also mithya, like the dream world, he logically established that the dream is mithya or unreal, even though we generally know the dream as unreal. So he does not call the dream unreal. He calls the dream is mithya. And now he's going to say, in the awakened state, the physical material universe is also mithya. Yeah? Why? In the dream world, it is mithya because the reasons that we have already covered. You know, I mean, it happens in my mind. My mind cannot really produce anything, or it happens in my body, in my brain, and I don't have enough space in my head to really contain this universe and so on. Yeah? So I need also time. I need the structure of time and space. In the dream world, I don't have that. I don't have much time. It's so fast. Suppose someone has to do a travel. Then in 2 minutes, you go to United States and you get back, okay, to India, for example. But then when you look back, standing as the awaker, you see that it was just a dream. Why? Because only a few minutes had passed. Only a few minutes have passed. It means that it's impossible that that experience, that travel was real. None of that can really be contained in my mind or in my head, howsoever we want to see it. There is no structure, time, and space that can allow for those mountains and oceans to appear. They are projections of my own mind. How I do that, I don't know. But the system, the Ishvara system knows. There is some powers that do that for me. Sometimes I enjoy a good dream. Sometimes we suffer a nightmare. And then we look back and say, how interesting, yeah. I couldn't imagine that kind of mental material would still be there in my head, in my mind, to project those experiences, You never know. Unconscious mind, subconscious mind. And then the following verse says, moreover, one does not see the places by going there because of the shortness of time. Again, after waking up, no one indeed continues to be in that place. So when we begin dreaming, we have no idea how we got there, if we would stand as the awaker. And then when we come back as the awaker, we say, oh my God, it was so good. Why I did not stay there? Yeah. So you dream, when you begin dreaming, you're at your bed, and then you go to this wonderful place, you have wonderful experience, and then when you wake up, you are just back in your bed. So there is a structure of time and space, that somehow proves the reality of those experiences. So the time was too short for me to travel. I don't know how I got there, but I know that I have always been here in my bed. Therefore, the element of time and space proves that it is unreal. That's the logic, fundamentally. So let's suppose the logic of Gaudapada. I have a doubt whether during dream I'm really traveling or not. Let us imagine that someone in a dream traveled to Kashi and had darshan of the Lord. While he or she was coming out of the temple, the person woke up. And then he or she wakes up. Where will he wake up? They will wake up in the same bed that they entered before becoming a dreamer. They are never going to wake up at the place of the dream. So the travel is mithya. Every person, when wakes up in the middle of a dream, does not find himself in that dream location. And thanks God, because sometimes it's not worth it. You imagine you are having a bad dream, and then you wake up in that dream, suffering some harassment or problems. So it's so good to wake up and say, oh my God, thanks. It was just a dream. I mean, here and there we have wonderful dreams and I say, oh, too bad that I woke up. It was just a dream. In the third verse that we're going to see now, Gaudapada says that even the scriptures say that the dream is mithya. Now he's going to say that the scripture supports the logic that he himself, Gaudapada, is presenting here. Moreover, the absence of chariot and everything else is heard in the Upanishads along with supporting logic. Therefore, they say that the unreality of the objects in dream, which is established by logic, and it's established by the scriptures as well. So there are two ways for us to verify the nature of reality, or the nature of the veracity, the truth of these teachings. One is by the logic, okay? And sometimes scripture do not present much logic, but it states something. And if you have enough shraddha based on your own observance, of every logic that makes sense, and then you develop respect for the scriptures, and then you take statements of the scripture as also confirmation, okay, of the teacher. I mean, is it true? But you cannot really know for sure. But the scriptures are saying, and I trust the scriptures, and then I find validation in regards to this statement. So the Veda also confirms that the dream world is mithya. And even the Vradaranyaka Upanishad says that clearly. A person dreams various chariots, horses, roads, and there is the driver and the charioteer, travel, etc. So this is one of the Upanishads, again, saying that the dream world is mithya. But upon waking up, he finds that they were all his mental projections. So none of this is real. It's all I was projected. None of these things were really there in dream. It cannot be said that the chariots and the driver existed, because on awaking they are found to be absent. So that which is present now and absent later on is another way of defining something as mithya. Now we define something as mithya is anything that is experienced and known as mithya. But there are many other angles that define things as mithya, the word as mithya. And one of them is that which changes from moment to moment, and that which is present now but absent in a second moment. And now he's present that. On awaking, they are found to be absent. It cannot be said to be real, but they were there, available for experience. The dreamer clearly experienced all the objects and the travel. Because of that experience, those objects cannot be called non-existent. Thus, the dream objects and the events and the travels are neither non-existent nor existent. They come under a third category, which is they apparently exist. They seemingly existent, okay? That's called mithya, a mirage-like phenomenon that appears to exist, but once we examine it more carefully, we realize it does not really exist. No? It exists as an appearance, as we say. A mirage exists, but as an appearance. So I go back to the mirage again and again because I find it to be the best illustration of mithya. No? The funny thing is, even though it is mithya, the dreams can disturb the mind of the dreamer during the dream, and even when he wakes up. As we know, it's the same mind, and then the mind is having a terrible dream. You probably remember my dream of being tortured somewhere on a desert. And then my mind was so disturbed that for several minutes I was still confused. And my mind and my body became ill for weeks, if not months, after that event. It has the power to disturb the mind even after the dreamer becomes the awaker. Vedanta says that this world is also similarly existent and it's capable of giving a lot of problems. So now he's shifting Vedanta because the purpose of analyzing the dream state is to make a parallel with the awake state. Vedanta says that this physical material world is also similarly existent and it's capable of giving a lot of problems to the body mind. But when I wake up spiritually, when I wake up to my higher nature, when I wake up to my Turiya nature, from that standpoint, I can say that this world, that no world exists independent of me, meaning to say I am the only reality. I validate all the worlds enjoy conditional realities, but all of them are resolved in myself as consciousness, my superior nature. And then that is the parallel that takes us to the spiritual awakening, as a lot of people like to put it on those terms. And almost everywhere people believe that it is an epiphany or spiritual awakening is an epiphany. No, it's a moment of clear, direct understanding. No world exists independent of me. I validate everything. Every world enjoys landed or borrowed existence, landed by me, according to different states. As we know, in the dream, every object is taken to be real. From the standpoint of the dreamer world is real as long as one continues to be in the dream. Dream experience can produce positive and negative results. A dream poison will kill a dream animal or a dream human being. Dream medicine can cure dream diseases. This is the conditional reality. So what is the reality? Is conditioned reality. So if in my dream, I have a great idea of a robber, a bank, and then I'm caught, and then I go to the prison. Okay, so I'm taking the punishment in the dream. So, and that is a fact, and that is experience, and that is devastated. But when I wake up, I say, "Oh my God, thanks. It was just a dream." So it belongs to that sub-order, to that sub conditional reality of the dreamer mind, the dreaming, the subtle body dreaming. So Swami presents three letters here. Any conditional reality can be represented as three letters. ETU. E goes to available for experience, goes for experience. It's available for experience. And T available to transactional, transaction and tangible. It appears to be available for transaction, this meteor world. And here we can look at it from both meteor worlds, the awakening meteor world and the dream meteor world, okay? So it's available for experience. It's a sort of duality, the experiencer and the experience, the dream world and the awakening world, so both of them. And then it's available for experience, available for transaction, yeah? And in these transactions, we find values or utility. U goes to utilities. Okay, and what is the most fundamental utility of the duality experiencer and experience? The true fundamental utility, before we find the relative utility of a cup or anything, but the most fundamental utility of duality is self-knowledge. It's the only way we can transact until we beat the game. There is an expression like that, no? Or we win. We win meaning to say, okay, now I understood. No? So I'm the only reality. None of this is real. None of these two worlds are so there is a utility. Utility can be seen on different levels. And the dream world is real under dream conditions. The word mithya does not mean unreal, but conditionally real. The unreality signified by mithya is not absolute reality. It's not absolute reality. The unreality, when we say mithya, we don't say that it is not absolute reality, but it's also not absolute unreality. So he's playing with words here. Okay, you can never say that the dream world and the physical material world is absolutely unreal. Why? Because from the standpoint of the waker, it appears to be real. Likewise, the dream world, from the standpoint of the dreamer, appears to be real. So it does not have absolute, but only relative apparent reality and utility. Yeah? So the most important aspect of this second chapter is to make these parallels between awakening state and prove that it's not much different from the dream state. You know, it's a wonderful opportunity, because this is one of the most important teachings, you know, to draw the parallel between the two until we understand that this physical universe is also mithya, an appearance in consciousness. Huh? So if the dream world and the awakening world is mithya, what is Satchan? Satchan is nothing but Atma, Turiya Atma, consciousness, which is I myself, in the nature of I myself. So this is the topic of the second chapter. Yeah? So we are not going to be talking about mithya, because our goal with Vedanta is to establish reality, yeah? And to be established in reality as reality. Yeah? So we look into mithya, yeah? So that we can understand that there is no mithya without Satchan. Yeah? So this principle on which the mithya world apparently is superimposed. You know? Gaudapada has first established that the dream world is mithya. Therefore, he extends it to the waking world also to prove that the waking world is also mithya. In the first three verses, Gaudapada established that the dream world is mithya using three pramanas. Means of knowledge. The first is Anumana Pramana. The dream world cannot be real because it is experienced in a constrained space of my head or my body. Yeah, it's happening inside of me. So three means of knowledge, three logics to prove that the dream world is mithya. Yeah? The first one is the limitation of space. Yeah? The second pramana or logic is pratyaksha pramana, space and time. All our travels in the dream state happens in a few minutes or seconds. Therefore, it is impossible that they are real, because I wouldn't have the time to make that trip, you know? So, and then the limitation of time is another logic, another pramana, knowledge to prove it. Now, our direct experience about the place that you were traveling during the dream, proves it. Now, and meanwhile, you were just lying down. Our direct experience about the dream when we wake up is a proof that the mithya starts of the dream. The third logical knowledge of pramana is the shruti. Now he brings, is the scripture. Yeah. So the third pramana, we have to remember the meaning of pramana. Pramana is a means by which we have knowledge. Yeah? So we know that we analyze our experience and then we extract knowledge, understanding. Yeah? So knowledge is a pramana which belongs to the intellect, and the intellect, following the logic presented by these revealed scriptures, can confirm, can say, okay, I understand. The scriptures not only say that the dream world is mithya, but it's presenting a satisfying logic based on the limitations of time and space to project, to give it a sense of reality. But then there is another pramana, which is not the logics, but the scripture by itself. And this third pramana is understood for those who already developed Shraddha in the scriptures. Okay, so if the scriptures say that it's mithya, so it must be mithya. And then he reminds us that in this Brahadaranyaka Upanishad, it was clearly stated that the dream world is mithya, and it's just a mental projection, not an actual projection, but a mental. Time and space proves, plus the scriptures sustains the logic. It is mithya. Veda reinforce what is known through logic. That's the point here. Veda reinforce what's known through logic and experience. Presents the logic and then says, yes, it is mithya. I have presented you the logic, therefore now know it to be mithya. Thus, using the pramanas of the scriptures, the dream world is also shown to be mithya. Now, the awakening world has to be shown to be another form of dream only. So this is the goal here. So is to move into the awakening state, the awakening world, and following the logic, the parallels that are going to prove it to be mithya. So Gaudapada will prove that even this class, this moment, this experience we are having now is mithya. It's just like kind of a dream. Verse number 4. Okay, now from this number 4 verse up to the 18th verse, Gaudapada established that the waking world is also a dream, like a dream. For that, he gives introduction in this verse. He says, as it is in the case of the dream, so it is in the case of the awakening universe, dream and awakening, or awake. Therefore, the unreality of objects in the waking state is accepted. However, the dream differs because of its location within the body and because of the limitation of space. So he's kind of revising the previous logic. So he says the Shrutis, the scriptures, affirm vehemently that both dream and awakening world is mithya. They are not really real. Therefore, the unreality of the objects in this awakened state is also accepted to be mithya. Why? Because the scriptures establish that. However, there is a however, but it's easier to take it, to accept the dream world to be mithya, because it appears to be limited by time and space. So therefore, it cannot be real. How could I travel and see all of that within my own mind? No? Limitation of time and space. The experience in dream should be extended to the waking state as well, waking world, just as we experience things in the dream world. The same nature of mithyatva should be extended to the waking state and awake universe also. So how we prove it to be mithya in the waking world also will come later in the next verse. We have several verses to cover that. He goes slowly. So how he's going to establish the mithyatva, nature of the awakening world, okay, is coming in the next verse. After proposing that the awakening world is also mithya, Gaudapada says that even though both of them are mithya, there is a small difference within these mithya worlds. Within the mithyatva of the awakening and the dream worlds, there is an internal difference. So internal difference. The dream world is experienced within our bodies, whereas the awakening world is experienced outside of our bodies. So this is what is the difference? Both are mithya, but one appears to be within our body. If we take the mind to be the brain. So the dream world appears to be happening within our body, and the waking world appears to be experienced outside of the body, So that gives us the impression that, no, it's not within myself, so it must be real. There are layers and layers of misunderstanding. That, as I was pointing out, is the inversion to believe that human consciousness is a byproduct of the body, No. So the body is a byproduct of human consciousness. So, but we've seen all these misunderstandings, taking all of them into account, remains this sensation that what is happening outside is different from what happened inside of myself. Therefore, it must be real in opposition to what happened inside myself. This difference, both words are mithya, but there is this difference that needs to be examined until we can remove that objection. I know outside and inside. Inside, it's not impossible. There are several limitations, time and space being proving them. And outside, and then we have a proper structure of time and space, and then it appears to be real, So we're going to see it we're gonna dive into this coming Friday. It's a beautiful development here. Let's hope that we're gonna have not the two of us, but the four of us. Sylvia's having so much problem with her internet. So, anything from you, my friend?
Yes, the waking world appears to confirm duality.
Definitely.
This is the problem.
Well said.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the dream world, after you have seen Swami Paramarthananda and present my question to him, and he clarified the subtle point there, and then I understood that the dream world is also duality. There is an objective experience there, you understand? But it's different. The time-space structure is different, yeah, but it's still duality. But outside, it's not only a duality, but it appears to be a real duality.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, dokie. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namaste. We'll begin next week from verse number 4.
Thank you, Arlindo. That was great.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to have you with me, because alone is not that much fun.
No.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, see you at the end of the week.
Yeah.
Bye now.